Hi class! Today we are going to be studying percent of change, and that's section 5-6 in our textbooks. You can always use your textbook online, don't forget. Vocabulary words we need to know. Percent of change. The percent, a quantity either goes up, increases, or goes down, decreases from its original amount. The formula we're going to work on today is actually a proportion, and we know proportions. We've been studying them since the beginning of the year. We can use a proportion to find a percent of change. All we have to remember is that on the numerator, we have the amount of the change. In the denominator, the original amount of whatever it is, a product, a service. And that equals the percent of the change, and percent, remember, is always over 100. So our formula should look rather familiar to us in the fact that it is a proportion and that the percent always goes over 100. So we already know how to do that side. Okay, the best way to show you how to do one of these problems is just to do one together. This example comes from page 202 in our textbooks. South Carolina had 6 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives in the 2000s. After the 2010 census, South Carolina had 7 seats. Find the percent of increase in the number of representatives. Well, first of all, we know it's an increase because they tell us right here. So let's remember we should always write our formula down before we start the problem. The amount of change is the numerator. The original amount that we started with goes in the denominator. The percent of change goes in the numerator. And 100, because percent always goes over 100, that'll be in our denominator. Since seats increased from 6 to 7, the amount of change is 1. That would go in our numerator. The original amount we started with was 6. We started out with 6 in the House of Representatives. We don't know the percent change. That's what it's asking for. So let's just put a K there. And we know that percent always goes over 100. So now all we have to do is solve for K. One times 100 is 100. Remember, we're cross multiplying. Equals 6K. Then when we divide each side by 6, because K wants to be by itself, K will equal approximately 6.7. And if we want to round that up, we can make it 17. And remember, they're looking for percent, 17%. Okay, let's do one more together. This is quick check, page 202, if you want to look on your book. In 2010, Georgia went from 13 to 14 representatives. Find the percent of increase in the number of representatives. We start by writing our proportion. We're looking for a percent, so that's what we don't know. So I'm going to use the letter K. And we know percent always goes over 100. Now we have to figure out the other side of the proportion. If you remember from the formula that we put the difference, or the increase or decrease, in the numerator. So we went from 13 to 14. The increase is 1. And in the denominator, we put what we started with, the original amount, which was 13. Now all we have to do is cross multiply and solve to find our percents. 13K equals 100. When we divide each side by 13, because K wants to be by itself, we get K equals 7.69. And we can round that up to 8%. Okay, now it's your turn. The price of a shirt went from $12 to $18. What was the percent of the increase?